and redo your punishment. That makes you look incompetent. It makes you look indecisive, and it makes you look like anybody can influence your decision. 3 things a good leader should not have. You should stand by your decision, admit your mistakes. It's the same thing Roger Goodell did in a different light. But the thing is, really, is that the only thing? And I criticized Texas A&M last year for doing the same damn thing with Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel was arrested numerous times for drunk in public at 19, 20 years old. Nothing was done. Nope. But they suspended him because he was allegedly accused of selling his autograph. Really? What the hell is wrong with the university? And it goes back to the kids. It goes back to the kids of that self-entitled generation that is coming up in society now. When these athletes, these kids in high school and these kids in middle school who are groomed and spotted that you're going to be a star, you know, they're picked out like 11, 12. There's magazines that have the best 10-year-old basketball player in the country listed right now. Yeah. These kids are groomed and taught that they're above the system. They're above the rules. They're never held to anything. They get to high school, the same thing is done. They're treated different than everybody else. And they get to college and they have a sense of self-entitlement. This is what it's coming down to. The university and the public schools, the high school system, and all these sports programs that these kids are in as they're growing up are creating this fucking monster.
Yeah. Valid point.
I don't care if you can dunk a basketball at 11 years old. You should have be held to the same standard as that 11-year-old kid who's not that athletic.
Yep.
But they're not. Sports has become such a forefront in the country that it's almost like if you're good at sports, you can get away with anything until you start making somebody money. Until you start getting paid for it. Let me restate. You can get away with anything in college when you're not getting paid legitimately for it. But as soon as you start being able to make a living off of it, all of a sudden it's a problem. It's going back to a corrupt system. The NCAA and pro sports are corrupt systems. It's no more, no less. They are corrupt cash cows, especially the NCAA, who makes billions off these kids, and they don't see a dime. Some people could say him shoplifting crab legs was sticking it to the man. Some people could say Johnny Manziel selling his autograph was sticking it to the man.
Some people say
they're punished for it, and Manziel gets punished for that. Selling his autograph to a guy who's going to turn around and make thousands off the shit he's selling?
Yep.
Really? The problem is in the system these guys are in. Now, are saying these guys are good people? Absolutely not. Because I believe once you get to 18 years old, you're accountable for your actions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You need to be held responsible for your actions. If I get pulled over for drunk driving at 18, if I get pulled over at 30 years old for drunk driving, I'm going to have to face my boss on Monday morning.
Exactly.
And we just had an incident with a young student in my command did the same thing. And he had to face me, and he had to face my superiors on Monday morning and explain what he did. If I and my wife are to get in a fight tonight and I'm going to knock the hell out of her and the cops are called, I'm going to have to face my boss on Monday morning. I'm probably going to lose some money and lose a pay grade. Mm-hmm. Why? So I understand what's going on here, but the system these guys are in is broken. It is fucking broken. There just needs to be a complete overhaul in the sports system. It's getting hard to be a fan. Am I the only one that feels like that? It's getting hard to be a fan. It really is.
Man, I tell you, man, there's a lot of turmoil going on, man. It really is. And I don't know if it's because of the media that we watch now that it's just clearly negative stuff is coming on first. Like, oh, well, this guy made a game-winning shot or he made a game-winning touchdown. Oh, let's talk to football finally. Let's talk basketball finally. So I agree with you, John, that it's just like there's so much negative press about this right now that it does need to clear up. The thing with Winston, I do, yeah, it is the phrase there. He is a kid. I just wondered if his allegations had something to do with this. But like you said, if you're gonna suspend him for this phrase, why not suspend him for the other stuff that he's been accused of? I totally agree.
And the worst part
ironically, sorry to cut you off. Ironically, the biggest monster to add to this is what we're doing right now. Yep. It's sports media. Let's look at some of the positive things that have happened in sports this year, okay? Let's think of it. A team experienced their first ever Super Bowl championship, the Seattle Seahawks. Peyton Manning threw for 55 touchdowns and broke a passing record that we thought would never get touched. The Denver Broncos broke a scoring record, okay? The San Antonio Spurs were the ageless wonders, just won their 5th title.
Finished
USA just won the gold in the Basketball World Cup.
Yep.
These are positive things we're talking about here, okay? A lot of good stuff has happened in sports. We just had a 12-year-old girl break the sex barrier in the Little League World Series
Yes.
and dominate 12-year-old boys.
Monet Davis. Yes,
These are
very.
good things that have happened, okay? Well, there's a lot of Connecticut's basketball team just went undefeated. We at the first time ever, we had 2 undefeated teams playing for the college basketball national championship in women. We had the first time ever 2 seeds below a 5 playing for the national championship in men's college basketball. All right. We just experienced the SEC's
What about
title
Derek Jeter? Derek Jeter's
streak
a good story.
ended
This
in
last year.
January for football. We have seen a lot of good stuff, but what the media wants to focus on and what they keep beating the dead horse about is the negative shit. We are such a negative-driven society. You don't think the people at ESPN are loving that this is going on right now?
And the worst, and Cortez, I think Cortez hit the nail on the head with, you got a guy like Derek Jeter who's about to retire, he's done nothing but good since he's been in the league, and ESPN's not even hardly covering that. They're covering all this bad stuff that's going on in the NFL and in football in total.
Exactly. And baseball season's coming to an end, too, so you think they'd be pushing more of that. This Jeter last year, so you think you'd be hearing more about that, but you're right, man. There's negative press everywhere, and I guess we just like covering idiots, I guess. I don't know.
Stupidity reigns supreme.
Yeah, pretty much, man. So, man, we're at 52 minutes.
Talking about this.
Yeah, I agree.
Now we're going on break.
Yeah, I got to use the bathroom. Guys, I'm going to we good for a break. John, you can stick around for a while. You ain't doing nothing all day, ain't you? You got some plans?
No, I can hang around for a little. I got to go pick up a sandbox at 1.
Sandbox. Nice.
Okay, cool. We'll get y'all.
We'll get y'all. Sandbox.
All right, guys.
First world problem, man.
God. All right, guys. This is Balls in Your Court podcast. We'll return shortly.
Hard body.
Welcome back to the Balls Not Court podcast. I'm still here with Kevin and John, and we're going to transitioning into talking about the schedule of both NCAA football and NFL. And we're going to go ahead and start it off with the top 25. There was a game that was on Thursday that was played, and it was Kansas
State and Auburn. Number 4 Auburn, or 3 Auburn. What are they now? 5.
Number
Auburn
5 and
Auburn.
number 20 Kansas State.
Pretty close game.
Pretty close game. So yeah, it was 20-14, and at one time Kansas State was up, wasn't they?
Yeah, they were up early in the game.
7-0.
Yeah, it was 7-0.
7-0. So it was a good game. So, but I guess I want to get y'all thoughts. Y'all had a nice rant off the air.
We'll let John go.
Go ahead, John.
All right, as of right now, just breaking this morning, Kansas State has accused Auburn of stealing signs. My question is that really ethically wrong?
No.
If your signs involve placards or play cards from the sidelines, and another coordinator figures it out, is it really stealing?
No.
Yes. Now, granted, if they're hijacking your frequency on your headset, yes. But if you're holding up placards and another defensive coach figures it out, along with the hours of tape they have of your team coming in, is that really considered stealing, or did you just get outsmarted by the opposing coordinator?
Or if you're getting the bunt signal on the sidelines and someone figures it out, it's not. Who cares? I'm like, if they're smart enough to decipher what you're doing, because most of the signals and stuff people are doing are like hieroglyphics. If you got a person on the sideline just to do that, they should be commended.
I just don't think I call shenanigans. I don't think it's stealing. I think you got outsmarted
It's part of the
by
game.
another coach.
Yeah.
Now, if they're picking up your radio frequency, yes.
Yeah.
You know, if they got a lip reader, yes. That's why you see a lot of
The towel's up and stuff
or
like
the
that.
clipboard's up. But if you are if they figured out your system to bring players in from the sidelines, is that not your fault?
Reminds me of a great story. I know, 1997, Florida State versus Florida. Florida thought Florida State was stealing signals, which they were, because they confirmed it later on in the game when Doug Johnson gave a signal to Jaquez Green to run a certain route. Florida State changed their defense all of a sudden and knew what they were doing. So later on in the game, Doug gave him that